Synth TV.
Hey everybody, Catsynth TV, and today we pay tribute to the great composer, saxophonist, and bandleader Wayne Shorter, who passed away this morning. His career in music spans over 6 decades. Shorter first came to prominence after joining Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. Within 4 years, he rose to become the group's musical director. He caught the ear of Miles Davis, who was intrigued by Shorter's melodic sense and unique harmonic constructions. He joined Davis's second great quintet as its tenor saxophonist and for several years primary composer. There he met Herbie Hancock, who would become a lifelong collaborator and friend. His work with Miles overlapped and helped spearhead the introduction of new rhythms and electronic instruments into jazz, which became known as the beginnings of the fusion era. After the second great quartet, Shorter continued to work with Davis on his early fusion albums, including the seminal Bitches Brew in 1969. This experience led him to found the band Weather Report, with keyboardist Joe Zawinul and bassist Miroslav Vitous. Weather Report went through many phases over its decade and a half, phases which can be roughly delineated by the group's bassists. The early era featuring Vitous was very exploratory and open. Following Vitous' departure, bassist Alfonso Johnson joined the group, launching an era of earthy, funky sounds and idioms. Their most commercially successful era came with the flash band whiz kid Jaco Pastorius, and the final era saw a more globally inclusive sound. Wayne Shorter was one of the primary composers in the early years of the group. He did pull back and spend more time on his inner life, but still remained with the group. When Weather Report ended in the mid-1980s, a flood of new music from Shorter arrived, including Atlantis, whose compositional breadth left many at a loss for words. This included his composition Endangered Species and his use of simple interval patterns to form the structure and ideas of the music. After a number of albums continuing on with the electronic sounds he helped pioneer with Miles Davis and with Weather Report, Shorter returned back to acoustic jazz and formed his long-running eponymous quartet with drummer Brian Blade, bassist John Patitucci, and pianist Danilo Perez. Also surprising was Shorter's return to the very open, almost free jazz style he had worked with in the late 1960s. Sometimes his quartet was augmented by orchestra, as in his massive gesamtkunstwerk Emanon, which included a graphic novel, along with the music that encapsulated Shorter's philosophy of art and music in a futuristic fantasy. We had the privilege of seeing Shorter perform with his quartet not once but twice at SF Jazz in 2015 and 2017. The music exemplified Shorter's egalitarian approach, with Danilo Perez particularly shining in the 2017 show. However, it was still Shorter who held court, often framing both classics and new compositions with a spare, deliberate style that often hinted at the full composition without revealing it entirety. After 5 decades, he was still breaking new musical ground. Shorter retired from performing in 2019, but continued on as a composer. Most notably, he created a new operatic work, Iphagenia, with Espanza Spalding, and which also includes set and design by Frank Gehry. It premiered in 2021 and toured in 2022. We had the opportunity to see it in Berkeley, California. It was a wonderful tribute to a legend, as well as a connection to a new generation of artists. We leave you with this quote from Shorter's composition, Someplace Called Where. Striving for no ending, to see what we're born to love, gave this fateful journey that we would never see through the darkness to the light within someplace called Where. Do you have any thoughts on the life and legacy of Wayne Shorter? Please let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to Catsynth TV.